Dark clouds gather above Hawkins, turning the sky into a deep red haze. Once a peaceful town, it now feels like a memory fading, shaking, slowly being pulled apart by a force that no one can fully understand. Streets that once echoed with laughter now sit empty. Windows are broken, cars abandoned, and electricity flickers as if the whole town is struggling to stay alive. Everything around looks like it is holding its breath. Far beyond the broken streets, something stirs in the shadows of the upside down. A pulse, a wave, a signal. It travels across vines and dust, moving with purpose, moving with hunger. It is the sign that the end is no longer coming. It is already here. And Hawkins, whether ready or not, is standing at the center of a battle that has been building since the very beginning. In this moment, the world feels smaller, tighter. Every sound echoes too loudly, every silence lasts too long. The thin line that once separated the real world from the dark mirror beneath it is gone. Doors have opened, walls have cracked, and something ancient and cruel steps closer with every passing second. No one sees it yet, but everyone feels it like cold fingers pressing against the back of their necks. But the people of Hawkins have faced darkness before. They have bled, they have broken, and they have risen again. Now, they stand on the edge of their greatest test. Friends who once fought monsters with flashlights and bikes are now forced to face nightmares that twist the sky itself. Trust becomes a weapon, courage becomes a shield, and fear becomes the reminder that this final fight is not just about survival. It is about protecting every memory, every promise, every moment they refuse to lose. As the wind howls through empty streets, the truth becomes clear. This is not just another chapter. This is the moment everything has been leading to. A battle written in shadows. A story built on sacrifice. One final adventure that will decide the fate of Hawkins and of everyone who still dares to dream of a world without fear. The darkness is rising. The ground trembles. And somewhere in the heart of this chaos, a familiar voice whispers a warning that feels colder than winter itself. The final fight has begun. Shadows move across Hawkins like living creatures, curling around houses, sliding through broken streets, touching every corner that once felt safe. The air carries a strange pull, a quiet warning that something powerful is reaching out, searching, learning. It feels as if the entire town is trapped between two breaths, one of fear, one of hope. People feel it even if they cannot explain it. A heaviness presses against their chests, a silent truth whispering that this time, the danger is not just near, it is already inside every crack of their world. 11 feels it first. Her heartbeat slows as she steps into a space that looks familiar and impossible at the same time. The air around her bends, like a wave of energy folding in on itself. She closes her eyes, trying to pull strength from memories that feel both distant and warm. Her friends, the moments that shaped her, the battles that nearly broke her but made her stand again. But now, something is different. Her powers flicker like a dying light, struggling against a force that is stronger than anything she has ever faced. A whisper echoes in her mind, distant yet sharp, reminding her that she is not just fighting a monster, she is fighting the past, the pain, the scars she never fully escaped. Meanwhile, Will feels the old fear crawling back under his skin. He tries to steady his breathing, but the cold shiver running down his spine tells him the truth. Vecna is closer than ever. The connection that once tortured him now returns with a new intensity, pulling him toward something dark and unspoken. He tries to warn the others, but the words stick in his throat. How do you explain a feeling that doesn't come from the world outside, but from the darkness living just beneath your own heartbeat? Will knows he cannot run from this. Not anymore. The final battle needs him, even if he is terrified of what that means. Across town, Hopper grips the handle of a worn axe. His hands are steady, but his thoughts race like a storm. He has fought soldiers, monsters, and even death itself, yet there is something painfully human about the fear he feels now. Not fear for himself but for the children he promised to protect. The world is breaking open around them, and he knows they cannot shield the kids from what is coming. This time, they all have to face it together. He looks at Joyce, whose tired eyes still shine with fierce determination. She squeezes his arm, and without saying a word, they understand. They will not back down. Not now, not ever. The rest of the group gathers in a dim room lit only by a single lamp. Maps, drawings, and old notes are spread across the table. Dustin examines every detail with the intensity of someone who knows time is slipping away. Lucas stands close by, trying to stay strong, though he keeps glancing at pictures of Max, hoping she will wake up, speak, laugh, anything to prove she is still with them. Mike tries to hold the group together, but the weight of leadership feels heavier than before. Every choice feels like it might be the wrong one. Every second feels borrowed. The walls of the room vibrate with a low rumble. The lights flicker once, then again. A sudden burst of cold air sweeps in, making everyone freeze. For a moment, time feels suspended. It is the kind of silence that warns you something is standing just outside the edge of reality. Watching. Waiting. The group looks at each other, fear tightening in their chests. Not because they doubt the danger but because they finally understand how close it truly is. Hawkins is no longer simply changing. It is being rewritten, pulled into shape by a force that wants to reshape the world in its own image. And as the shadows deepen, the truth becomes harder to deny. This final fight will not just test their strength, it will test their faith in each other, their courage to face the nightmares that shaped them, and their ability to stand as one when everything around them falls apart. The storm is rising, faster than ever, and the only thing left is to decide whether they will face it together, or be swallowed by it. Night falls over Hawkins in a way it never has before, slow, heavy, and almost intentional, as if the darkness itself is choosing to stay. The sky is thick with rolling clouds, swirling in patterns that feel unnatural, alive. A low hum vibrates through the air, shaking windows, rattling street signs, spreading a quiet warning through every corner of the town. This is not just night. This is a veil closing in, a reminder that something powerful is drawing closer with every heartbeat. Deep inside the forest, where the trees twist like old scars, 11 stands alone. She presses her palms into the cold earth, trying to feel the world around her the way she once could, but her power slips like water through her fingers, fading the moment she reaches for it. She feels frustration rising in her chest, a familiar ache of being too small against something too big. The memories of victories she once fought for feel distant now, flickers of light swallowed by shadows. She whispers to herself, not as a hero but as a girl who desperately wants to protect the people she loves. Yet, every moment she spends fighting the darkness inside her mind makes her wonder if she is losing more than she realizes. Dustin, Mike, Lucas, and the others push deeper into the ruined streets. Their footsteps echo as if they are walking across a hollow shell of their old town. Every broken window feels like an eye staring back at them. Every gust of wind sounds like a warning. Dustin tries to lighten the atmosphere with small jokes, but the laughter never comes. His words fall quiet, swallowed by the dread creeping through the night. He keeps glancing around as if expecting something to leap from the shadows, and even though nothing does, the fear grows. His brain races with plans, theories, and pieces of clues, yet none of them feel enough to stop what's coming. Lucas carries a weight he cannot speak about. Max's silent form haunts him like a broken melody, beautiful but unfinished. Every time he sees the group planning, fighting, pushing forward, he wonders if Max would tell him to stay strong or break down with him. He holds on to the hope that she might return, that she might open her eyes and remind him why he keeps fighting. But hope feels fragile now, like glass ready to crack with one wrong move. Mike, usually the voice pushing everyone forward, now feels a tremor in his confidence. He watches 11 from a distance, sensing her struggle even when she hides it. He wants to help, to speak, to give her the strength he used to offer so easily. But how do you comfort someone who is fighting a war inside themselves? He fears that if she breaks, the world will break with her. And for the first time, he wonders if love alone is strong enough to pull someone out of a darkness this deep. Will's reality is different, more intense, more terrifying. The connection inside him grows stronger by the hour, like invisible strings pulling him toward something he does not want to face. He feels Vecna's presence crawling beneath his skin, whispering in a voice he cannot escape. It feels like cold hands wrapped around his heart, squeezing tighter every time fear takes over. He tries to calm himself, tries to breathe through the panic. But the truth is becoming too clear. He is no longer just part of the team. He is part of the danger, and the guilt of that eats at him more than any monster ever could. At the edge of Hawkins, Hopper and Joyce prepare for what may be their final stand. They check weapons, pack supplies, and exchange quiet glances that say more than words. Hopper tries to be the steady force, the unshakable protector, but inside, he feels the crushing weight of what they are about to face. Joyce knows the fear in his eyes because she shares it. They've fought to stay alive, to stay together, to bring hope to the kids. But this time, hope feels thin, like a rope slipping through their fingers. The wind begins to howl, carrying a sound that chills them all, a faint, distorted echo rising from the depths of the Upside Down. It is not loud, but it is enough to make every person in Hawkins freeze. The noise feels like a heartbeat made of static and sorrow, a broken signal rising from a world that should not exist. And with every pulse, the town lights flicker, dim, and strain against the spreading darkness. A shift in the air tells them everything they need to know. The final part of their fight has arrived. Not tomorrow, not an hour from now. Now. The moment they feared, the moment they hoped would never come, is standing right outside the edge of the light. Their breaths turn shallow, their hands shake, and for the first time, hope feels fragile, like it might shatter if the darkness pushes even a little harder. As the shadows deepen and the ground trembles under unseen footsteps, the truth becomes impossible to avoid. The battle is no longer about preparation or plans. It is about survival. It is about the strength to keep moving when the world is falling apart. It is about choosing to fight even when hope feels like it might slip away. This is the moment where heroes are not defined by power, but by the courage to stand. Even when everything around them begins to break, a deep stillness settles over Hawkins, heavier than anything the town has ever felt. It is the kind of quiet that comes before the earth cracks open, the kind that makes even the wind stop to listen. The shadows stretch longer, twisting and pulling as if dragged by an unseen force. The air tastes different, cold, metallic, laced with something ancient that does not belong in this world. Hawkins is no longer just a town. It is the final battlefield, waiting for the last spark of courage to rise against the darkness closing in from every side. 11 walks forward, her breath sharp and uneven. Each step feels like she is pushing against an invisible wall made of fear and memory. She can sense Vecna's presence growing stronger, curling around her thoughts, trying to crack through every piece of strength she has left. She remembers moments when her power felt endless, when she could lift trucks, close gates, stop monsters with a single scream. But now, her power flickers like a candle fighting a storm. She knows she cannot turn back, because turning back means losing everything she has ever fought to protect. She whispers to herself, not for comfort, but to remind her heart that she is not done, not yet. Will stands behind the group, gripping his arms as a wave of cold spreads through him. He feels Vecna calling, pulling, twisting the connection that he never asked for but can never escape. The whispers in his mind grow louder, pushing him toward a truth he does not want to face. This connection might be the only way to understand the plan behind the darkness. He is terrified of the part of himself that still hears Vecna's voice, but he also knows the others need him, not the scared boy he once was, but the one who survived the impossible and still stands. His fear becomes his fuel, his trembling becoming determination. If his connection is a curse, then he will turn it into a weapon. Hopper and Joyce stand on a rooftop overlooking the distorted skyline of Hawkins. Fires burn in the distance, casting sharp orange light against the dark sky. Vines from the upside down crawl up buildings like veins, choking the life out of the town. Hopper grips a weapon tightly, feeling the weight of every promise he ever made to these kids. He has fought battles that should have killed him, and yet here he is still standing because he refuses to give up. Joyce steps beside him, her voice steady despite the fear she tries to hide. She tells him they will make it through, because they always do. Hopper doesn't say anything, but the look in his eyes shows the truth. He believes her. Not because he is sure, but because he needs to. Down below, the rest of the group prepares themselves. Dustin adjusts his gear with a focus that hides the shaking in his hands. Lucas tightens his grip on a flashlight and tries to imagine Max standing at his side like she used to. Laughing, fighting, reminding him he was stronger than he believed. Mike grips a metal pipe, his knuckles turning white, knowing he cannot lose anyone else. Not 11, not Will, not the friends who became his family. Each of them stands caught between fear and bravery, realizing that the line between them is thinner than they ever knew. A sudden tremor ripples through the ground, making everyone freeze. The pavement cracks, splitting open in jagged lines. Red light seeps through the cracks, pulsing like a heartbeat rising from the core of the earth. The sky tears open with a thunderous roar, revealing a swirling vortex of black and crimson clouds. It looks like the Upside Down is breathing alive, hungry, ready. Vines shoot out from the cracks, wrapping around street signs, pulling down walls, tearing through the town as if claiming territory. An icy wind rushes forward, carrying the echo of a familiar voice. A voice filled with rage, sorrow, and certainty. Everything dims. Everything trembles. In this moment, the group feels something shift inside them. Not fear, not panic. Something deeper, something harder, something that cannot be broken by shadows or monsters. Determination. 11 steps forward as the wind whips around her, lifting dust and debris into the air. Her eyes lock onto the growing storm ahead. She no longer feels like the girl running from her past. She feels like someone ready to rewrite it. Will steps beside her, his breathing steady even as the cold inside him grows. Dustin, Lucas, Mike, Hopper, Joyce, each one moves into position, forming a line that looks fragile yet unbreakable. The darkness spreads, swallowing the edges of the street. The last pieces of normal life fade behind them. This is it, the line between survival and destruction, hope and despair, life and loss, stands right here, and for the first time in a long time, the heroes of Hawkins do not look back. They look forward straight into the heart of the storm, ready to face whatever rises from it. Because this final fight is not about fear, it is about the promise they made to each other. A promise that ends tonight,